Hello, everyone. I'm Dr. Rajeev Sooreea from Dominican University of California. I'm happy to present our research on does economic freedom matter to foreign direct investment in Sub-Saharan Africa? This is a joint research with Dr. Brinda and Uzma Shataz Rasool from University of Mauritius. Our paper examines whether economic freedom matters to inward FDI. A key contribution of this study is that it uses disaggregated measures of economic freedom from the Heritage Foundation and the Fraser Institute to unveil which components of economic freedom matters to inward FDI. Sub-Saharan Africa, as we know, is unlike most regions in the world in terms of both economic freedom and as a destination for FDI. In the past 20 years, Sub-Saharan Africa has experienced an increase in inward FDI of approximately 9 times, with FDI stock rising from $65 billion in 1997 to $600 billion in 2016. Even though FDI has increased significantly over the past 2 decades, Sub-Saharan Africa's share of global FDI is still below 2%. Host country governments in Sub-Saharan Africa have made considerable efforts to attract FDI. Key determinants of FDI to developing countries have evolved from traditional factors such as market size, macroeconomic policies, and trade openness to less conventional ones such as economic freedom. Economic freedom is increasingly being considered as one of the key drivers of FDI because it plays a substantial role in creating a positive image about the investment climate of host economies. However, most of the countries in Sub-Saharan Africa face challenges in terms of the levels of economic freedom. This poses a problem because economic freedom is believed to bring prosperity in an economy according to both Heritage Foundation and the Fraser Institute. There's a large literature out there which explains why FDI is important in developing countries. Some of the reasons include job creation, tax revenues, linkage and spillover effects, technology transfer and diffusion, innovation, and the transfer of knowledge, administrative skills, and corporate governance, in addition to foreign currency earnings when FDI engage in export activities. From a policy standpoint, it becomes important to understand the interplay between inward FDI and economic freedom. However, economic freedom is measured differently by different organizations. The Heritage Foundation uses the Index of Economic Freedom, while the Fraser Institute uses the Economic Freedom of the World Index. The Heritage Foundation's measure consists of 4 subcomponents, such as rule of law, regulatory efficiency, government size, and market openness. These 4 indexes are further disaggregated into 10 measures. The Fraser Institute uses a measure of economic freedom, which is categorized into 5 major components: size of government, legal system and property rights, sound money, freedom to trade internationally, and regulation of credit, labor, and business. Various empirical studies have used various estimation techniques, sample sizes, and periods. Overall, there is no consensus about what type of economic freedom really matters to FDI. The purpose of this paper, therefore, is to examine whether, and if so, what type of economic freedom matters to FDI. We look at 40 Sub-Saharan African countries during the period 1997 to 2016. I now turn over to my co-author, Dr. Brinda, to explain our estimation results and findings.
Hi, everyone. Our study uses a balanced panel approach based on fixed and random effects. We estimate 3 functional forms using the Heritage Foundation measures and 2 functional forms using Fraser Institute measures. The results indicate that overall economic freedom is positive and significant determinant of FDI, irrespective of which measure of overall economic freedom measure is being used. So SSA that have a higher economic freedom tend to have higher FDI. There is also a clear evidence that regulatory efficiency, including business freedom, labor freedom, and monetary freedom, are key determinants of FDI in SSA. It is interesting to note that, however, financial freedom and investment freedom are not significant determinants of FDI. The result also shows that market openness in general is an important determinant of FDI. However, there is no clear impact of trade freedom on FDI. When the Heritage Foundation measures are used, trade freedom is negatively associated with FDI. A negative impact on FDI implies that FDI coming into SSA is essentially of tariff jumping type. It means that FDI that enters SSA choose those countries that have higher trade barriers to get in. But once they are in the SSA countries, their objective is to use the SSA countries as export platforms. So the FDI coming in SSA are therefore efficiency seeking. Another important result is that financial freedom, that is, low tax burden, and the size of government are important determinants of FDI in SSA. The tax burden factor is positive and significant. For a country to maximize economic freedom, the state should minimize tax burden. Besides, the size of government is also an attraction to FDI, as governments do their best to promote their countries as an attractive FDI destination through investment promotion authorities and invest in public goods like roads and public infrastructure for public infrastructure development projects. However, there is no clear evidence that the rule of law and property rights determine FDI in SSA. In advanced countries, legal system and property rights are generally thought to be an important attraction for FDI. However, our study indicates that improvements in property rights is in fact a deterrent in FDI in SSA. This suggests that FDI seeks those SSA countries that have lax property rights protection to escape from tight conditions at home. Thank you.